Sometimes we're teaching mechanics. Sometimes we're teaching concepts. Sometimes we're teaching feeling. But a lot of the times, those things mix in one class. And then we have a problem.
The main issue is when you start going too much into one of the three and the other two gets left out.
But a lot of teachers struggle with that, with understanding the difference between going too mechanical or maybe too conceptual in a group class. And the number one thing that I always have in my mind is that I'm not choosing how to teach, because that is chosen by the students. I'm confident that by the end of this class, you'll know this. But how we get there, I'm very flexible.
So it's very, very easy to have a whole teaching process mostly focused on the mechanic.
Oh yeah, we have 1 hour on the Friday. Can you do a spins workshop? I'm like, nope. There are things that need time. You cannot cheat that.
Sometimes people explore the concept of elasticity by using mechanics that don't allow them to have the feeling that they are wanting to get. So the mechanics that they use actually produce a similar but opposite effect, because the elasticity is supposed to create momentum in the dance.
Let me drop a hot take here, get canceled and lose some friends. Okay? That is 100% what most traveling teachers do.
Look, there are two main kinds of contents that we're going to offer to you guys here. One is going to be that content that you arrive in the class not knowing how to do something, and then you leave knowing how to do something that you couldn't do before. There's another content that you're going to get in class not knowing how to do the thing, and you're going to leave probably worse than you came in.
You can watch all the YouTubes and become a YouTube certified dancer.
Yes.
On Gui. Until Gui hugs you, you're not going to know what it feels like.
You won't know.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Alisson Sanji, and let's welcome back our beautiful co-host Gui Prada.
Hello everybody, hello Alisson, welcome back.
Today's episode, we're gonna get a little nerdy. We've been on a journey. We've done some episodes about all the things in life and all the journeys from the past. But today, we're gonna get back to our usual program,
the meat
of ZoukNerds. So today we're going to be talking about the classes and how we structure classes, or how we see other people structuring classes. And for all of you who are students, this will hopefully help you understand what's going on in that class.
Yeah.
Why is it working? Why is it not working? Because there are amazing classes with amazing teachers that I've been to. And at the end, I was confused, very confused, because the three things that we want to talk about here, sometimes we're teaching mechanics, sometimes we're teaching concepts, sometimes we're teaching feeling. And those are just three things that we can also put multiple things under. But a lot of the times, those things mix in one class. And then we have a problem. Not to say that one class cannot teach the three of them, but what is the main focus of the class? What is the one thing that you want to really make sure that everybody understands? And then everything else is just supporting that idea. Let's say we're teaching mechanics, but through the mechanics, we also talk about feeling. We're also talking about concepts to understand that mechanic. But the mechanic is the main meal, the main food that we want to serve. What are the issues, Gui, that you find, or that you found as you were teaching and learning to teach, but that you still find nowadays that you see sometimes in your class by accident or in other people's class that relates to this?
Oh my God, yeah. It's a vast, rich concept. No, it's a vast, rich topic.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are a lot of variables there. And the majority of my time is spent teaching regular classes. And that's by far. Right now, we're traveling around, so that has not been the case for some time. But I'm about to return to my regular programming and do the regular classes. So I'm going to focus right now in regular classes. In the regular class context that I experience a lot more of, For me, the main issue that I find actually is when you start going too much into one of the three and the other two gets left out, So I think it's nice when all three are present in some shape or form, knowing which one is priority. And realizing over the years how easier it is for my brain and some of the other teachers that I know to really fall into the mechanical teaching much more than the conceptual and much more about how something feels like, how something can feel like. Because I don't see necessarily that we are teaching people to feel something. We are teaching people how to allow the feeling to come out or to awaken that feeling. We are teaching them tools to connect, and sometimes we're just giving them permission to feel. Saying it's okay, it's part of the process, So what I see as not an issue actually, but it's more of an observation that can become an issue when you realize that the people you are teaching are lacking certain things. And that's something that I hear quite often when talking to teachers. My students stay do too much stuff. They don't look each other in the eye. They don't embrace. And all these things.
Yeah.
And I really think that it's related to teaching mechanic much more than the other two.
And we are guilty as charged here in the ZoukNerds world. Something that I say all the time is that because we are ZoukNerds or dance nerds, we go to a private lesson or maybe 50 private lessons to work on weight transfer, connection, lateral. And then when we teach a class, we go into that level of depth and precision and explanation. But that's not what a normal class should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Not a regular class, not even a workshop. I would even go as far as not even a teacher training should be that crazy. Like this is private lesson. Lesson. That's it. But a lot of teachers struggle with that, with understanding the difference between that and going too mechanical or maybe too conceptual in a group class.
Yeah.
Conceptual, but then at the end of the class, the students are like, how do I practice this? It's not even like, what did I learn? But how do I practice this?
They're not able to materialize the concept they just learned and see how that's applicable. That's another thing.
Yeah. So I think that in my journey, I've learned, with a lot of feedback, a lot of lessons that I've taken from other people to really understand how to teach. And the number one thing that I always have in my mind is that I'm not choosing how to teach because that is chosen by the students. Okay, for me, the students are giving me the container, the moment, the interaction on how I'm going to teach. What I'm going to teach, I know. I'm confident that by the end of this class, you'll know this. But how we get there, I'm very flexible. I can maybe come to this class thinking, oh, not today, I'm going to drill them. Oh, I am going to make them be in front of the mirror for 30 minutes because they need to get this. And then I get there, the vibe of the class is very different and the people are not vibing the drills. And I'm like, okay, you know what? How can I get the same result? Okay, let me think about a concept that will get them to practice this, but the mechanical is there. So I can use maybe a concept. Maybe I can use a feeling. Maybe I can use a game. Maybe I was going to speak in Portuguese and say a dynamic. Because in Portuguese, a lot of the times we don't say games or workshops. We say dinâmica. Dinâmica is kind of like a play, an interactive workshop where everybody's participating together.
Yeah, like
equally.
an exercise, a drill sorts. One exercise is more playful. Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense in English, but that type of thing where like, okay, you know what? let's just drop the teacher. Let's drop everything. I'm just going to guide this exercise. Yeah. So we have to be flexible with that instead of just like, oh no, this is a lateral class. We have to get the mechanics. We have to be correct. We have to be precise. We have to be crazy. No. I think like for me, mechanics is very much in the warm-up.
Yes.
A lot of the times it's covered by the warm-up. If you're breaking down footwork in the class, then you didn't do a good warm-up.
Yeah, it's something interesting because we are very used to designing curriculums and creating the progression of the students. And when you are designing the curriculum and you are thinking about teaching someone how to dance from scratch, one of the things that becomes priority is teaching them the basic steps. And then you realize to teach them the basic steps, they need to learn some foundational stuff. So weight transfers, torsions, pivots, thirds, all these things. And then you realize, okay, but they will also be connecting with each other. So we need to talk about closeness and proximity and connection points and touch and skin and all of that. And then you realize, but they'll be dancing to the music. So, and then it comes the rhythm, and then it comes
Music structure.
then it comes the musicality, and then comes all the things. And then you realize, oh, but they're going to go to the social. That people lead hand movements, and people lead body movements on that. And then you think about, okay, there's etiquette, there's safety. And
How to ask
for the dance.
How to stop the dance.
How to stop the dance. How many songs to dance to. So when you think about the journey of the students and you needed to put together that progression, you realize, oh my God, there's so much stuff to stuff in this very small space.
6, 8 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks.
Sometimes 1 hour a week, sometimes 1 hour and a half a week. Yeah, the people that follow the Brazilian old school model, 2 hours a week, 2 days a week, much more rare. I haven't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you have between 1 hour and 1 hour and a half, most of the time, once a week, to guide people on this very rich journey. And you need to make a selection. What do I teach in this time? And it's very easy to follow the mechanics because we understand that dancing the basic steps is the most important thing. So we then, class 1 is Bônus, class 2 is Soutinho, class 3. So in designing the curriculum, sometimes you need to select the moments in which this is going to be the moment that we're going to talk about this concept here with all these mechanics and then this feeling, blah, blah. So you planning the curriculum, the moment to talk about feeling, the moment to talk about concept. However, in the practice of teaching the curriculum, sometimes you get to the class they're supposed to teach the concept and you realize it's not going to work right now. I need more the mechanic, you know, and you want to teach the feeling, but and again, they are not at all familiar with the concept or they don't have the mechanic down. So it's very, very easy to have a whole teaching process mostly focused on the mechanic. Mm-hmm. And I have caught myself doing that, actually. I remember where I was in a car driving from an event in Portland with Dabbling and talking about curriculum. And I was looking in the curriculum that we made for District Zouk and stuff and realizing my whole thought process and my whole speech. And it was all about mechanics. I had not talked about concept. I had not talked about feeling. And then making a comparison with my very first workshop in the US that was mostly conceptual, you know, and about the feelings, using the mechanics as a baseline to talk about feelings and concepts. Mm-hmm. The self-shock was so impactful that when I got home, I needed to do some soul searching, actually, because I realized I fell very deeply into teaching mechanics.
Yeah, for me, I absolutely love the mechanics. You know, I am a big nerd. To me, when I'm studying, I need to understand the mechanics to get to the feeling, to understand the concept.
1000%.
But when teaching a group class, especially a beginner's course, you need to understand that this is a entertainment. This is sort of an entertainment, relaxation, inspiration, art outlet. There's so many layers to that class that is not becoming a professional Zouk dancer or a dance nerd that, it took me a long time to learn. And there are concepts or techniques and mechanics that I will not teach unless I have the time. I was thinking about it as you were talking, and a lot of people ask me, can you teach spins? Sure. Yes, I love it. I've studied for a long time. And they're like, oh yeah, we have 1 hour on the Friday. Can you do a spins workshop? And I'm like, nope. And I'm like, no. Do you want them to be able to do it and feel good and feel like they can continue practicing that? Okay, I need 3 hours. I can do miracle by second hour, but I cannot guarantee they're going to feel like they can do it. By 3 hours, I guarantee they're going to feel like a spinner.
Yes.
There are things that need time. You cannot cheat that.
There are these things that the mechanics bring the feeling. When you get the mechanic down well, the feeling comes. And you know it's working because of the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the case of PL.
Yeah.
That's the case of the spin. You really work the mechanic. And then when the mechanic is working, the feeling of centrifugal force and all of that stuff,
like that spinning, and you're like drilling your feet into the ground. You're not like floating, but you're that grounded, and you're like, oh my God, how can I be so relaxed, heavy, quote unquote, and still spinning beautifully? The secret mechanic.
Relaxation while you're doing it. And then you get the feeling of turning, the feeling of centrifugal feeling, the relaxation feeling. Yes, because we need time.
Yeah, there are things that need time. And most of the things that I would classify as concepts or feeling, they need time. Can I teach people what to do to start practicing and drilling 4 spins in an hour? Yes. Can I get to the feeling? Look, I'm going to say no, unless the entire group has already done classes on spinning before and they're not getting it.
Exactly.
But if they're new to it, no. From new to getting used to it, to feeling like something is working, we need at least a good 3 hours together. Generally, I would say weeks and months. But a miracle can happen within 3 hours where they can feel like, you know what? I feel like this is possible. Maybe not today, but I feel like it's possible.
Yes.
There are many things that we can talk about. I think spin is something that is it's a big struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think you can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so true, because traveling with Paloma and teaching with her, there are things we can see that we are each really passionate about, that we really want to teach, because we like how it feels when we do it and when we dance with somebody and we have that feeling, we want to teach it. With experience, we are realizing exactly what you said. We need time. And sometimes, even if we have time, we don't do it because we need a certain level of understanding of the mechanics in order to explore the concept and get the feeling, So now that we're talking about this thing, I think it's almost like a ladder, You study the mechanic, you get the concept, and then you have the feeling kind of situation. For example, there are 2 things: the elasticity, the idea of elasticity, the concept elasticity.
So many things before that, guys.
So many things before that. Sometimes people explore the concept of elasticity by using mechanics that don't allow them to have the feeling that they are wanting to get. So sometimes to get the elasticity feeling, the mechanics that they use actually produce a similar but opposite effect, because the elasticity is supposed to create momentum in the dance. And when you apply the mechanics in a way that you search for the feeling without fully understanding the actual mechanics that bring the feeling of elasticity, they explore the concept of elasticity and create as a result that feeling of push and stretch and release, you end up getting heavy in your dance.
Yeah, you get stuck.
It gets stuck.
A lot of the times when people are exploring elasticity, it's almost like they get to a point where they cannot return.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I completely agree. And could we teach the basics of how to feel elastic-ish to a beginner? Basics. Yes, we can, because we do that in our regular classes. But when we're talking about Gui and Paloma, can you come here and teach elasticity for my students? You're asking for a Michelin rating, how do you call it? Michelin star dish.
Yes.
You're not asking for a burger from the corner shop.
No.
So that needs time.
And that's another thing that is coming up to me right now as we talk about it. To explore elasticity, what is it that you need before that? To explore
we only have one episode.
I know.
We cannot talk about everything.
I know. To explore this feeling, what is the thing that comes before that? So for us and for you and for everybody that is teaching, that is learning, is good to understand what is it that we need to really achieve this goal that we have in mind. We want to learn these really cool, fun topics that are related to sensations, the feeling of elasticity, the feeling of spinning, without the full understanding of the mechanics and what comes before that. So when we think about these concepts, mechanic concepts and feeling, and like what is this class is about and stuff like that. And when I think about this in the context of a regular class and teaching someone how to dance from scratch and teaching these concepts, we really need to be aware of where we are, who is in front of us, how much time do we have, and what we think is more important in that time, considering all these elements. And as a teacher, when the teacher is fully engaged in the process, I think the quality of the class improves a lot because you're able to perceive what is it that they need to work on more for that group with the time they have and the amount of experience that group has. All this informs the decision. The difficult part is getting out of the autopilot that we see sometimes ourselves getting into and other teachers getting into, the autopilot of going and teaching this. No matter the group I am, no matter how much time I have, this is what I did every single time, everywhere I go.
Okay. Let me drop a hot take here, get canceled and lose some friends. Okay. That is 100% what most traveling teachers do and don't have as skills. And I'm talking about traveling teachers that have not had extensive experience with teaching regular students on a weekly basis or don't currently have that. Okay, there are many teachers that we've talked about this before. They are great dancers. They know everything about their dance. They know how to share it to an extent, but they haven't had the weekly thing of having a student from day one to like 2 years later and going through every struggle on that journey and how to teach differently to different people, but the same concept. Most of the times as a traveling teacher, you get into that autopilot of like, oh, I'm just going to teach this, move on, teach this, move on. Like whatever happens after, they're not going to see it. They're not going to see it until months later. And yeah, I think that's the skill that is missing when you go into a class and you feel like, well, the move was nice. I don't know what I learned. I'm not sure how to use any of that outside of that move.
with these people that were in class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like what we normally try to do is the move is just the move. What we're learning through that move is the class.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you're doing traveling viradinha and you think you're learning traveling viradinha. But really, by the end of the class, you're going to understand that we're teaching the floor craft. We're teaching how to connect with each other while traveling across the floor, how to keep similar distance as you travel across the floor, which is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a good example, guys. Have you seen wedding couples? Maybe not so much nowadays, but in the old days, how they walk up the aisle. They step together, step together, step together. I've been told this by a dance teacher, but I don't know. It makes sense. The reason why they do that is to synchronize their walk. Because if you put two adults to just walk down the aisle, it looks messy. It just looks messy. One walks faster, one walks slower, longer legs, shorter legs. One's wearing heels, the other one is all of the things. But when you go one together, two together, then there's that wedding walk, you know. But that's not what we're doing in partner dance. We're trying to do tum, chick, tac, chick, tum, and be together with different size of steps and legs and all of the things. So yeah, understand that when you're a student, try to see beyond the move. Try to see beyond the pattern.
Yeah.
I attend classes that sometimes the teacher is teaching the pattern. And I'm like, cool. I know a lot of people love that. It's not my type of student, but some people love that. When I'm in that class, I'm trying to like be a little spy or kind of a person that is trying to get very close to everything in my eyes and in my head and like, okay, what do they mean by that? Why did they choose that? Not to question their ability or their knowledge, but just to store that in my memory bank of like, oh, okay, they do like this because they work like this and that works like this and it's perfect for them. Great. Now, do I remember the move of that class? Absolutely not. I don't remember the move of that class on that night. But I remember the concept, the feeling. I remember the mechanics. I remember the do's and the don'ts, the pros and the cons. Those are the things that I'm trying to get from any class that I attend. And every class is a great lesson, no matter who's teaching. To me, when I go with that mindset, every class is a great class because I am responsible for what I get in that class.
Extract, man.
I will have a great class. Don't worry. Don't worry what you teach. I will have a great class whether you teach well or not.
Yeah, this is a really good reminder then, because I was thinking here in examples. Mechanic, concept, and feeling. So what came to mind was the Bônus, for example. So Bônus, if we just teach the mechanics of Bônus, what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about how to execute the Bônus, né? The traveling turn, rock step, Patinha. And then we put the Bônus into a concept. What could be the concept of the Bônus? It could be the linear aspect of dancing, like how you use the floor and using the Bônus as a way to travel from side to side and stay in this track. Or you could use the mechanic of the Bônus to explore actually circularity. So you turn the Bônus into a circle. And what is the feeling? The feeling would be the feeling of turning. You seize momentum, you seize rotation, and you rock step. You use your hips, do Patinha, don't do Patinha, all the stuff. So there you have it. The Bônus mechanic is how to do the Bônus. The concept is like traveling, dancing on a line, dancing on a track, and the feeling is the feeling of turning. You know. So if you are taking a Bônus class, for example, and you have in front of you, so you're taking a Bônus class, and then you have in front of you these three things you could be looking at. So if you're doing any sort of class, like Alison was saying, you can, without the teacher saying necessarily, extract what you are understanding are the concepts and the feelings that you are getting from executing that mechanic. Or when doing a conceptual class, what are the mechanical things that we are doing to explore the concept and what feeling is getting. So being more engaged in the process of the class and finding these three things if they are not named beforehand. Yeah, because the other thing I was going to say is the misunderstanding that happens sometimes happens because we didn't name things or we were not fully aware of the thing. I've been more cautious in regular classes, for example, in telling people, look, there are two main kinds of content that we're going to offer to you guys here. One is going to be that content that you arrive in the class not knowing how to do something, and then you leave knowing how to do something that you couldn't do before. There is another content that you're going to get in class not knowing how to do the thing, and you're going to leave probably worse than you came in. Not knowing even harder. But
knowing that you don't know it.
Knowing that you don't know it, and that being like throwing your face. And that class exists, that today is one of those days. So you set the intention, you set the tone, and people go in at least knowing that what they're about to experience might be something that they will leave the class not knowing what just happened. But they know it, you know? They understood the idea and you came out with it. Because sometimes I see that's even the intention sometimes, but because that was not said beforehand, the person leaves the class with that, oh my God, I don't know how to dance. I suck at this thing. I don't know how to do it. What did I just do? And sometimes you come with the concept, you come with the mechanic, you come with the feeling, and the person who took the class is still just see as the one thing. You know, we had this experience, Paloma and I, we wanted to teach a conceptual class about understanding and finding the axis of your partner. How do you find the axis? How do you know your partner is on axis? How do you know they're off axis? And we wanted to explore the feeling of the planeo feeling. The person is on axis and turning. And then for that, we used a movement. And some of the people that took the class understood as a combo class, you know, as a combo class of something that they can only do with people that were in that course. That's what they got from it. And then Paloma and I, we read their feedback and we were sad, upset too, and sad and disappointed at us because we thought we were very clear in what we were doing, finding the axis. So all the exercises we did, so the exercises were understood as repetitive or pointless because they couldn't see the relationship with the thing. And in class, we have this understanding that things are working and they're going well, but then you read the feedback and people did not get the point, even after you named it, even after you did with them. So sometimes it's hard because the person who is getting the message, it might not be what they're open to receive at the time.
Yeah.
And that you don't know.
You can only learn what you're ready to learn at that point.
Exactly.
Or what you're willing to learn at that point.
Exactly. So sometimes, and I've seen these in workshops, in events, the teacher names the concept. We're going to understand this concept. But normally, what we do is we apply the concept to a pattern. And it's almost like the person listening to you almost like forgets the concept and goes solely into the pattern because they want to learn the pattern. So there's not much space in the brain to keep the concept and learn the pattern.
I can think of so many times a student who go like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I'm like, okay, you need to focus on this feeling. No, I'm like, how do I get this to that? I'm like, the feeling, like, oh, but what's the lag and what's the timing? I'm like, we're not teaching a move. Like the move is happening because of the concept, because of the mechanic, because of the technique, the feeling. If you don't get any of that, you won't get the move.
And that's why we go back to what you said. What do you want me to teach? X. How much time I have? No. Oh, yes.
Cannot.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, we as teachers, we're always searching for the easiest and shortest path to teach anything. So like I said, if somebody asked me to teach a workshop of spins in an hour, If that's the only way it's going to happen, I'll say, look, I can do it, but there's a limit to how much we can cover, but we can do it.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but it's impossible to the level of expectation that the student has. You see a spin workshop, you think, okay, I'm going to learn what I need to feel good spinning. No, in an hour, you're going to learn like enough for you to go and practice. Are you going to get enough time to practice, to correct, to go again and again and again, and to the point that you feel like at least one time you're going to spin and you're going to feel like, oh my God, I did it. In an hour? Most likely not, unless you already have some other training before that allows you to get there that fast.
Yes.
Generally speaking, from my experience, no. What you get in an hour is a bunch of people hanging for dear life with each other and leaders like, oh, and followers like, that's what you get in an hour.
Fingers burning and sore. You know?
And like ankles and knees all like painful. You get that in an hour because you pushed it, you forced it. So in an hour, I'm going to get you to do SC and I'm going to get you to finish that SC into one spin and basic step. When are we getting to the second or third spin? In the second hour, in the third hour, in 1 hour, that's what we're going to get because I want you to feel good. I want you to feel like, yes, I did a 1.5 spin and felt great. That's what we can do in an hour.
Yeah.
Same thing, I guess, with other concepts that are more invisible because spin is sort of an invisible thing that you don't see the feeling. You see the spin. But like embrace, traveling, elasticity, like until you get the feeling, you just see the shape and you're like, oh, I have to do this. No, you don't have to do that to be elastic.
For many years, I thought the embrace, the comfort of the embrace, the magic of the embrace, it was on the right arm of the leader. I thought this
is the pillow.
Yeah, I thought like if I figure this out, good, I got it because I was mechanically doing the embrace, you know? So I thought through this, I would get the feeling. Did not, you know? So just copying the mechanic by itself doesn't get you the feeling. You need time. You need time. And the thing that Alisson is saying, the curiosity, what is the concept? What else mechanically is going on? Let me understand this a little bit better so I get the feeling that people talk about and that I had when I was embraced.
It's interesting because a lot of the times in class, I'll see like people going around the room to see like how Guy is placing his hand and his arm and everything. And then they're not looking at the rest of the body.
Exactly.
They're not looking at how, like his posture, his weight transfer. So I have to do that most of the times in class. I go like, okay, everybody, I'm going to do this again. Now, look at my feet. I'm doing head movement, chicote. Look at my feet.
Yes.
And then we look at the hips, and then we look at the chest, and then we look at my posture, and then you look at my arm. Stop looking at my arm when I do the chicote because you want to copy this, because you're just, that's not where it is. That's like the end result of a chain reaction of things that happen, and you see the chicote, and you see the arm, and you see the follower doing this.
Exactly.
Look at everywhere else. It's a funny thing that I love to say. For Brazilian Zouk specifically, maybe other dances this apply to, but when you see the main thing, okay, now watch again, cover that main thing and look at everything else because that's where it is. When you see elasticity, you see the arms and you see the upper body and you see something, okay, cover that, watch the feet.
Watch the feet, watch the posture, watch when people stop moving, when they start again.
When you see the head movement, when you see the spin, when you see the chicote, when you see the cambré, cover that part and look at the second half. Now look at like the first quarter, second quarter, and then the third quarter, and then look at the top.
Yeah.
Like pay attention to the other 3 quarters more than the one that is expressing the result of the movement.
Yeah.
I think in Brazilian Zouk, maybe lambada and a lot of other Brazilian styles that I can talk from knowing and experiencing it, it's very much that.
Yeah. And one last thing, one last thing, certain things, like certain feelings, certain concepts. And I say this right now, this is what I think, okay, my people? It might change in a couple episodes.
Today, May 2026.
Exactly. But you need somebody that can make it happen to do it with you so you can have a reference point of the feeling.
Especially when it's very specific.
Especially when it's very specific.
Like you can watch all the YouTubes and become a YouTube certified dancer
Yes.
on Gui. Until Gui hugs you, you're not going to know what it feels like.
You won't know. And this was something that was happening a couple of years ago when you, for example, with Anderson, Brenda,
Oh,
Shanji, people were mimicking the visual, the mechanical things that they were doing
so heavy.
without understanding the feeling. Exactly.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And some of the things I remember teaching some classes in which we realized we are teaching a feeling that people are not having a reference point to what that feeling feels like. Yeah. So we need to stop everything and we need to go one by one. And every single person would do, oh, this is it? This much? This little? Oh, that it?
Yeah.
So, and all we did was change course. We need to change course because how are we going to teach a feeling just talk about the mechanics?
I remember this class that I took from you and Brenda in Melbourne, in that studio that was like an art center without AC.
Yes.
You know, the trauma. It makes me remember. But also the exact thing. We took a whole hour probably. But Guy was like, okay, everybody, leaders on this side, followers on this side, one by one.
One by one.
It was like 1 hour of the workshop for 15 seconds with Guy or Brenda.
Yeah.
But every dancer who was waiting, they did not look like they were upset or anything. And after they had the experience, they were like, oh my God, totally worth the wait. Because now they felt it.
Now they felt it. Now they felt it. So in certain contents, again, how much time do I have? And then it comes how many people in the room. You know, you have 40 people in the room, 50 people in the room. Not very doable if you really want to go deep in a concept or a feeling. Sometimes you need less people and more time so you can really go deep. But that's another story, a whole other story. Yes.
I think we have to press pause here because we're getting a little wild.
Time to stop, my people. Time for coffee.
Time for a little break because I think we've spilled enough of our knowledge and experience and a tiny bit of frustration and spiciness because we're here to share what's true for us. We're being honest. Yes? So thank you for being here. Don't forget to support us and like, follow, subscribe, share, do all the things. Send us some recommendations of topics, questions that you may have that may not be a topic, but we can turn into something. Don't worry about it. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, guys.
So, thank you. Beijos, abraços, and ciao.
Bye.